Good morning, Phoenixes. I'm up this morning on this Sunday morning, wishing I could probably go to church, but instead I'm actually heading to my part-time job. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful, I'm thankful that God, because for a very long time I was applying for a part-time job and there were no opportunities. Like I just, nothing was hitting, nothing was biting out to the point where I just felt so defeated, because I needed the extra income so that I could try to get some bills paid off quicker and things like that. So I'm grateful. I am grateful, and today, I really just want to talk about just being grateful, even though things are not where we foresee ourselves or what we may want things to align in our lives. But really trying to stay grounded in the now, and grateful for the opportunities that we currently have that allows us to sustain our daily living. And I try very hard to wake up with grace and gratitude every morning. That's one of the first things that I do when I hit the ground. I'm always, I try to make sure I pray to God first, and tell him thank you. Sometimes I feel like I do a lot of praying to myself, without, moving my mouth, in my head. And sometimes I question, is that the reason that maybe my prayers aren't being answered, when I'm asking God for opportunities or alignment, because I'm always torn with that, I don't know if it makes sense to you guys, but it's just things that I sit and I think about because I'm very introverted, so I'm not always the most talkative or want to talk, and that's something that I'm really truly trying to work through, because I feel like it has crippled me in some ways, especially professionally. But and I'm like, God, am I supposed to speak it? Am I supposed to, is there a method to this? So when it comes to that, I know my faith is there. I know that I'm grounded in the Lord, and, my belief, he's the head of all for me. I just feel like, what is it? It makes me question, what is it that I'm not doing or that I should be doing that, blessings don't seem to overpour, in the things that I'm asking for. And, always trying to stay grounded in my gratitude for what I do have. And it's just crazy that, I feel like that I'm not where I need to be, so I'm asking for more. And sometimes I feel like, the more that I'm asking for isn't like overly like lavish things or things like that, just for comfortability. And then I see a lot of people sometimes, and they post and they're like, go big, ask for big things. It's because you're playing small. I'm always torn between that, and because I feel like even when I ask for the bare minimum of things to be comfortable and live a life of not being struggled, it doesn't seem like that those are followed through on. Because every day I continue to wake up and still have to go to this second job, and that I'm grateful for, to be able to take care of bills. But I'm tired. So I know as many of you out there probably can relate to what I'm saying, and then there may be some of you that cannot, but this is my story and this is my journey, and I'm sharing it with you guys. And I would love to hear your feedback and hear some of the things that you face, how you overcome, to share with us and with one another. So I'm gonna head out of here and get to my job, and until next time,